So good afternoon. I want to thank everyone for coming. My name is Karle Roberts, and I am the Family Engagement Coordinator here at Compass Charter Schools. Again, I would like to thank all of our learning coaches and staff for attending this afternoon for our virtual Coaches Corner session. So for today's agenda, we're going to review how to know if your scholar is on track for our options, which is our homeschooling, for our online scholars who are in lanes, and then the K-12 OLS, those who are in our online middle school and high school program, as well as we'll have our quick discussion and any Q&A. So at Compass Charter Schools, we have 5 core values. They are achievement, respect, teamwork, integrity, communication. These serve as our guiding principles for our scholars, our learning coaches, and our staff. Each month this year, we are recognizing one of our core values, which started last month with achievement. So this month, we are focusing on respect, and we are going to be using the color red to represent it. So for the whole month of November, scholars and learning coaches and staff are invited to share what respect means to them and how they show it or how they've been shown it, and to wear the color red. So I'm so glad to have you joining us as we continue to dig deeper into the role of the learning coach, and this time to see also how you can determine if your scholar is on track. This afternoon we have a wonderfully talented group of ladies helping me present for the 3 main areas of Compass, which is our options, online K-5, and then our online middle school and high school. They are Michelle Vreeman, who is one of our amazing educational facilitators. We have Ashley Daugherty, who is one of our amazing scholar intervention coordinators. She's for K-5. And then Kasey Wingate, our other amazing scholar intervention coordinator for our middle school and high school scholars. But before I turn it over to them and let them begin, just one quick reminder for everyone. If you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and type them into our chat box. And when we get to the Q&A portion of the presentation, either myself or one of our other presenters will answer those questions. And now I will hand it off to Michelle to present about our options in homeschooling.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Like Karle said, I'm Michelle Vreeman. I'm one of the educational facilitators here, and I'm enjoying working with all of the families. If you are looking to check and see where your scholar is, for younger scholars, you are most likely to be very involved in the work that they're completing. So a way to check is you may wish to go over what they're learning by using an I can statement. An I can statement can also be used for older scholars to review work that they may have completed independently. And as scholars get older, they do often do some of their courses independently. And so in addition to an I can statement, you may wish to use one or more of the following check-ins with them. You could create a checklist, and your scholar can mark off the assignments in one way, maybe with a highlighter. And then once you as the learning coach verifies, you can mark it off in another way with a darker highlighter or a check mark. And that checklist can be kept on clipboards, on a whiteboard, in a spiral notebook. They can be used as a bookmark. They're just a great way for you to keep track of what the scholar is learning, but also feel the sense of accomplishment with completing those things on the list. You can also use a file folder or workbox system where you would put the work that the scholar needs to do or complete in a certain folder or file box. And then you can use a Post-it note if it's a workbook and you're not going to rip that out. You can put the Post-it on the outside of that book or text, and then they can do the work in that book and using the Post-it. Or if there's something online that they needed to complete, you could also do the same way with a note. And then once they're done with that item, they can move it from the original workbox where you placed it to a done folder or workbox for you to look over and check and go over with them if need be. Another way is to do a little check-in meeting with your scholar. The learning coach and the scholar, they can share what they've accomplished and learned. It can be done hourly, once an hour, once a day, or even by subject. And a great key here is for it to be scholar-led. So as learning coach, you might guide with some questions like, tell me what you learned while working on history today, or what was something you found especially interesting, what would you like to learn more about, or what questions do you have? And then that will enable you to leave those open-ended questions for them to answer, and you can check on how they're doing. And then to keep abreast in general of where your scholars should be and if they're on track, definitely communicating with your EF is a key to that. I'm going to pass it now over to, I think, Kasey is next? Ashley is next. Thank you.
Hello. All right, so I will be going over how to check if scholars are progressing for elementary scholars, so kindergarten through 5th grade. And as our elementary families know, learning coaches are very involved with scholars' daily work, so the learning coach will always be up to date with which work is completed, since they are the ones doing the work with their scholar and logging it off on the computer, on those logs for K-12 and for Lane students. To ensure scholars are progressing through coursework appropriately, it's very important that you have open communication with teachers, return phone calls, text, email, strong mind messages in a timely fashion, and read through all announcements thoroughly, asking questions as they come up. So your teacher will definitely let you know if your scholar gets behind, so make sure you are keeping up to date with teacher contact attempts. So for elementary, I have 2 different programs right now, Lane Scholars and K-12 Scholars. So for the Lane Scholars, you should always make sure you are monitoring those pacing guides or those weekly plans that are sent by teachers. As for K-12, there are a few places you can check daily to ensure your scholar is on track and progressing appropriately. There's a daily weekly plan, there's a progress tab, an overview tab, and you can check those daily in K-12. If you want to move on to the next slide. So this is just a little snap of what the daily and the weekly plan would look like. So as you can see, there's a tab to the left where the daily plan is available. The green check marks indicate the scholar has completed the lesson check successfully, so they've mastered that topic. At the top, you will see where the progress tab is, and this is where you would look to see specific progress percentages for each subject. And I will now go ahead and give the floor to Mrs. Wingate.
Sound check. Can everyone hear me okay? You can type in the chat box. Excellent. Thank you. So as Ashley mentioned, she just gave tips, tools, and tricks to see how scholars are progressing at the elementary level. I will be discussing how to see progress in courses in the PSP for middle school and high school scholars. So there are several ways in which you can check your scholar's progress in his or her classes. Please be aware that the next few slides, as I mentioned, are targeted just for middle school and high school, as elementary scholars use a completely different platform than middle school and high school scholars. So the first way to check to see if your scholar has completed work is to log into their PSP, or Parent Scholar Portal, if you will, in StrongMind by using the username and password that was provided at the beginning of the school year. If you haven't done so already, please bookmark the StrongMind PSP and have the login credentials written down and or stored on the site itself. So this will make logging in every day seamless, easy, and you'll be ready to go to log in and start your coursework. On the main page on the PSP, you will see our Compass Charter Schools logo, as well as our scholar announcements. Once you visit the home page and view all important news and updates, you're going to need to click on the tab listed courses. So as you can see over on the slide, on the left side, courses is highlighted. So once I click courses, you will be able to see a full list of all the courses your scholar is enrolled in. You are also able to see the progress in each course, the start and end date, notifications, course announcements, and the letter grade, including the numerical grade in parentheses. Once you see that numerical grade and the letter grade, please keep in mind that the letter grade is the grade your scholar would receive if he or she was graded out today. So you might see on the screen some F's and C's. Keep in mind that there's still 3 months or so left of school in the semester rather, so that's why the grade is so low, because there's still a lot of coursework to be done. Moving on to the next slide. So here's another way in which you can check for progress in each class. You'll repeat each step that I listed on the previous slide, but now you'll go a few steps further. You'll need to click on each course one by one to view a more depth depiction of your scholar's progress. As an example, I clicked on this course titled Avid, and here I can see all of the information I listed on the previous slide, plus more. I can see this week's assignments completed, lessons completed, and the number of times the scholar logged in. I can also see assignments themselves and their estimated due dates, which is going to be really helpful for you to make sure your scholar is on track and submitting work on time. Finally, I can see the attempts, grade for each assignment, and I also have the ability to print the grade book. This is all hosted under the course under Progress. So if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see Progress. This is all hosted under each course. Next slide, please. Each course has a gradebook, as I mentioned before. Once you launch a course, you will need to click on the gradebook tab in the upper right-hand side of the screen. You can see my red arrow. It's right up here after the course description. From here, you can see all things associated with this particular course. Just like what I showed you in the last slide, you also have the ability to print the gradebook once you scroll down to the progress section. Finally, the easiest and most efficient way to check for your scholar's progress in his or her classes is to view the weekly progress report that is sent out directly to your scholar and you and your scholar's email every Friday by 4:15 p.m. On the progress report itself, you are able to see all of your scholar's courses, the total number of assignments completed in the course, the current grade, how many school days are left, and the week's logins and assignments turned in. Please be on the lookout for these progress reports that are generated and sent out through StrongMind every Friday by 4:15 p.m. If you have any questions about the progress reports or course grades, please reach out to your homeroom teacher or the content teacher if you have a specific content-related question. And I will pass it off to Mrs. Roberts.
Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate all of your hard work you put in on those slides and all of that information. So now we want to begin our discussion part of our session. So we have some discussion topics here on the screen that you can see to start thinking about it. Maybe what are some of the ways that you, the learning coaches, are ensuring that your scholars are working and staying on track? Be thinking about, are there any things that you're struggling with that we can help you with, or other learning coaches would love to help you with, as well as what areas do you feel most successful in? And I'm also, while you're thinking, I'm going to pause our recording because we do not record usually our Q&A session. That was a wonderful discussion we had about helping ensure that your scholars are working. We even reviewed a little bit about our last session and how that progresses of the learning coach is going to progress from elementary into middle school up through high school. And that role changes and develops as you are making your scholars become more independent and empowering them to take the responsibility for their learning. So that was such a great discussion. I thank everyone for coming. I hope to see you all next time for our next topic on Wednesday, November 15th. It will be Help! My Scholar Can't Find His Desk. And we're going to have a great time discussing some workstations for your scholar and to make sure that they have all the tools that they need to be successful. Thanks again for joining our Coaches Corner, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye!